Happy day. It's sunny and bright in Melbourne,
It is.
Australia. I'm actually
It's
sweating
hot.
very hot today. I hope it's hot in your area, and that is why I have to put this scarf in. I can't have any hair too much because it's too hot. But welcome on the show, yo. And Liz, you're looking really proper. I like the way you did your scarf. I should do that. This is the old lady's scarf that I did, but it's fine.
I don't know which is which. Temi, scarf is scarf.
No, no, scarf is not scarf. There's a way
Yeah.
you do a scarf. The people that wear scarf, like the maybe Saudi Arabian people, they make it like this. Even in Nigeria, they make it like South Africa, like Maria Makeba. That kind of scarf. That's proper. Maria Makeba's.
Okay.
Yeah, this is not scarf. But anyway, how are
You
you?
look good. I thought your scarf really looks very good.
I thought
It's your
I'll wear the colorful to reflect the pink,
oh
International Day for Elimination of Violence, which is what we're going to talk today. The theme
yeah.
of this year is orange. So I thought, oh, where am I pointing to here? I thought
It's
I have it.
always orange.
It's always orange. Sometimes I thought it was one year was orange and yellow. But anyway, you
Yeah,
know,
it's always orange. Yeah.
last year was orange. We had the t-shirt orange last year. But
Hmm.
anyway, today I thought it's very important to recognize that. But before we go, Heidi is in the plane as we speak. She's doing.
Yes.
She's in the plane.
Globetrotting again.
I think ID's fans they had enough of ID. They can't catch up now. Like you're losing them one by one. Never mind. But Liz, good to see you. You're
Yeah.
glowing. I'm yet to receive my whatever you brought from Africa because I'm seeing all these earrings coming. This is actually from Zanzibar. My sister-in-law brought this for
Oh,
me.
that's beautiful.
Zanzibar, yeah. I thought I wear it today. I
Yeah,
like.
that's absolutely beautiful.
mm. So how have you been
It has
traveling?
been yes. We've started the 16 days of activism to eliminate violence against women. Of course, it's an all year round activity, but with the celebration that has been launched on the 25th,
Yeah.
of this, bits and pieces that are happening, and I've got hands almost in everything that's happening from this side
Wow.
because that's what we do. In terms of advocacy, in terms of counseling, in terms of raising awareness. That's what we do. And individually, I'm happy that we've got platforms that we can also come on board and just do our little bit. So this is the few days that we have. We should not be resting. Almost every day, we should be able to say something about this is not good, and this is a choice, and like in every choice there's the responsibility, and you are accountable for the choices that you make. So if you choose to use violence, then of course the laws will come for you, and you will have to face the consequences of the choices that you have made. And that's just our little bit that we can do to raise the awareness.
After the show, before 10th of December, I will come out as well and speak a little uh independently. But I thought this is your bread and butter. This is what you do. You see this every day. And who is the better person to have a talk to about domestic violence and how to
Yeah.
eliminate it. But I I have an opinion which is changing due to the book that I'm reading. I'm reading a book
Mhm.
now which I've talked about the book before on the show, Women of Ideas. Where are they and what men says about them? I have the book here, Women of Idea and what men have done to them, what the men have done to them. So I'm changing my opinion about how to go about this. But it's gonna be a little bit big, but I really want to tap your brain on some of the issues that I thought maybe everything is. Let's go on a break. Let's come back on a fresh
Oh,
plate.
good.
Welcome on the show. Welcome, welcome. As we've said, today we're talking about domestic violence and how to eliminate it. Hmm. That's a big word, to eliminate domestic violence against women and girls. Like I said, the book I've been reading, Liz, it's been extremely controversial about women that speaks and how men has been silenced them. And when they speak, they call them a lot of names. They call them eccentric, they call them unrepresentative, they call them embittered, they call them
Mm.
all sorts of names, and they silence them. They silence them. And
Mm-hmm.
these days, then I believe that men are not silencing us as such, but I think we are being groomed into be unconscious. That is what I'm to be unconscious and accepting some of these violences ourselves. The thing this
Mm-hmm.
year, I think one of the things they said we should invest in it. Don't just say it, do something about it, like what you were saying before.
Yeah.
Act. They want to see your action and also invest. What did they say? Invest to prevent it. And I guess here today we're investing our time to, in our little way, to see the way we can be enlightened about how we permit some of this violence. Because if the women in the past, they've been doing it for so long, if you know what has been happening, if by the time you read the book I'm reading, uh Lee, there was a bookshop in 1911. 1911, there was a feminist bookshop in England, only for women by women, trying to eradicate these sort of things. Um, you know, all these things, they silence and everything is gone into oblivious. That now we think we are the one that is actually started the revolution. We're the one that started. It's been done in the past.
That's right.
The women continued since 1911. This thing has been happening. There was a time that some women come together to start a school for women, just to train them. And you know what other people did? They create another school for women to train them how to manage their husbands. And and it became an elite school where everybody wants to go to learn how to manage their husband, meaning you just iron the suit, you cook the food, and you look proper. When these other women, like Worcester, like you read in the book too, they fighting that you are an entity too. You have a brain too. This is emotional abuse. This is financial abuse. This is power over you and making you to be nobody. So, where do we start? I know I just don't want us to do like the women of the past that are doing something. I believe in our little environment, in our little sphere, when we start to talk like this, we enlighten each other. When you see
Mm.
this sign of violence coming, you act about it. That's where area where I'm going about. You act about it to come
Mm.
to consciousness. So what do you reckon in your own way? I know you are advocating, I know you're supporting and you're kind of what way do you really think we can start to target this and this will uh, eh, impress other women to come, because not all women are on page right now, they don't understand it.
Yeah. Look, when you talk about acting, Temi, it's really a good thing, and I encourage each and everyone to find their place in how they can act, because um, violence happens right around us, among us,
Yes.
in our homes.
Yes.
That's where violence happens. Violence happens everywhere where there is a relationship,
Mhm.
and human beings, 90% of our existence is based on relationships. We
Yeah.
interact with people.
Yes.
So if you interact with people, you encounter violence. And the thing is, recognizing it, that's number one.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how violence looks like?
Yeah.
Because when we talk about violence, people think about physical violence. People think about people fighting,
Yeah.
physically pushing and pulling and kicking and slapping each other. But
Mm-hmm.
there is a whole lot more to violence than just, physical violence.
Yeah.
So, number one, when we want to act, it's really getting to know, or becoming aware of how violence looks like.
Hmm. How does it look? There you go. How does it look
Yeah.
like?
There are different forms of violence, and I think according to the act, let me just give it to both of us, and even to the people who will be watching this afterwards. So it's a behavior by a person towards a family member that is either physical, that is sexual, emotional, psychological, economical, or threatening, coercive behavior that makes the other person in the relationship, which is, it could be a family relationship, it could be work, whatever relationship, it could be whatever relationship, but it causes the other person in the relationship to feel fear for their own safety.
Mm-hmm.
If a behavior that you are portraying makes me feel like I'm not safe here, there is a likelihood of abuse, there is a likelihood of violence involved.
Mm-hmm.
It goes further when a child is exposed to this behavior. Is it a sexual behavior? Is it a economic behavior? Is it a psychological behavior? Is it an emotional behavior? If a child is exposed to this, then the child is also being impacted by the abuse that is happening between these two people.
Mm.
So there's different spheres of abuse. That it's sexual, emotional. Emotional abuse can take a form of somebody putting you down in public. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like your husband thinks, he doesn't want you to open your mouth in public because you always, gets up to something that is not relevant.
Yeah. I'm gonna
You
I'm
know
gonna
what I'm saying?
I'm gonna touch a place that might be a little bit controversial.
Yeah.
And I think we need to get there. But let's go to on a break. We'll be back. Welcome back, everyone. We're still talking about elimination of domestic violence against women and girls and how we can act to totally eliminate it. And we talked about women in the past, they have cried and they've been submerged, so to say. There's a saying that says if the women in the past had raised their voice and they became but transitory entry into historical record. what do you think our own cry now is going to be? You were talking about fear. If you feel fear, if somebody is doing something to you in anywhere you find yourself and you feel fearful about it, that's
Safety. Yeah.
for your safety. But um, and you said maybe you're talking in the public and they silence you, or they beat you, or financial. But we have large majority of culture. This is where is getting into me, because people who are here crying, women are crying here, and
Mm-hmm.
some women are accepting it here as their culture. And even
Mm-hmm.
I've been in a session, in a class with one of the women that is accepting this, and she told me it's our culture. In fact, you mentioned something which I liked. You said if the children are exposed to it, it's even worse. Now,
Mm-hmm.
child of this woman was born in Australia. She was about 16 and she knew, and she was fighting. Apparently, the mother will serve the father and will remain on the knees, will be on her knees, and she's not allowed to go. They don't go out, they stay home, and they just like a trophy women, the whole community, no job. They don't even go to school. They could be in a place like Australia for 20 years and they don't have a word of English because they're not exposed. And they asked, and the woman was, that's our culture. Your daddy is giving me food. Now, half of the women are crying and say, it's not about just sitting down and eating food. God is giving you some brain to be able to use the gift upon you to bless other people, not just you and your husband. What blessing, what are you going to contribute to the community to be a responsible citizen of the community?
Mm-hmm.
How do you tackle this? Isn't it a waste of time when we're crying here and half of the population are saying, don't talk to me because this is our culture and I accept it?
Hmm. Yes, that's where we talk about the drivers of abuse.
Yeah.
What I gave you earlier is a definition
Hmm.
of family violence and abuse,
Yeah.
included in it. And the behaviors are inspired by the drivers.
That's right.
One of the drivers is the cultural norms,
Hmm.
the gendered cultural norms, for instance, that we said, some of the responsibilities are for men, the other responsibilities are for women, and because of that, culture dictates what men should be doing. If a woman gets into that, he gets aggravated and he kind of um, 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 you know gets either physical or becomes emotionally, psychologically abusive towards the woman. He needs to prove himself to be a man among his peers. So that's a cultural thing, you
Right.
know.
Yes.
And because of that, if a woman does something that looks like she puts him down in the public, or that looks like he probably is not able to take up his manly duties, then he steps in with a behavior
Mm.
that has to save his face amongst his peers.
And then
And that behavior becomes abusive towards the woman. He could go and beat her. He could go and take maybe the money, the allowance of the month away. That's economic abuse, financial abuse. He could beat her up. That's physical abuse. He could isolate her from going to family. That's restraint. So that there are different ways that a man can do things. Sexual abuse could come in, where he could, demand sex while you don't want. So that there are different ways that men and people choose to behave when they are aggravated, when they are aggressive. In saying that, it's a choice. I said it in the beginning that using violence is a choice,
mhm.
but people make the victim think that they've caused the perpetrator to behave in that manner. They victim blame. And because of victim blaming, the victim then also thinks, what's the point of coming out with what I'm going through? If I did not come with a short skirt, if I did not say what I said in the public, he would not have done that. So in saying that, there are a number of drivers that we ought to be aware of in the community.
Yeah, that's that. We need to be very aware of that.
Yeah.
And
And those drivers then takes us into behaviors that makes people act in that causes people to choose to act in the ways that they do. One of them, as I said, is we condone violence. How do we condone violence?
Mm.
We minimize
it. Yeah. Mm.
Like if your husband, just comes and sexually violates you, and you say it's his marital right, but on the other hand, you are complaining and saying, I did not say yes.
I'm tired.
And it's every day.
Mm.
It's not a marital right. This is something we both need to agree on. If I am not fine with it, then you are abusing me. This is sexual assault. So we shouldn't be minimizing. No, it's just, that I talk too much. No. If there is a need for the other person to be developed in terms of managing their aggression, then he should go for personal development.
I know.
Yes. I shouldn't be abused because I seem to be talking too much. What about me talking too much makes you decide to shut me down, to put me down, to take away the allowance from me, or for you to sulk for 2-3 days, silent treatment? That's abuse.
It is indeed. But like I said, culture is very, very big, because traditionally we actually don't know what an abuse means. Do you know, it wasn't part of our vocabulary?
Yeah. It wasn't. It really wasn't.
It wasn't. We know that even if you offend your husband and he gives you across the face, it's because he's upset. And
That's
then
right.
he'll come back and apologize, and then you
And
need to
it was excused.
and you need to
It would be excused, and it would be made down to these things happen in relationships. It
exactly.
happened in families. When
And
your father rapes you, these things happen in families. We should have a family meeting. How?
Liz, I like where you went to, like, your father. This is the issue that I have with my women. I have issue with my sex, with my women, in terms of your father rape you, and then you do a family meeting. What is that? I don't know, maybe some of these things sound so big to me, and I hope it's not just me. I hope it's sounding big to other people. But let's go on a quick break. We'll be back. Welcome back on the show. We're still talking about how is unhealthy, it's unacceptable. Don't let me just use even health. It's on zero acceptable to abuse anybody, either financial ground, sexual ground, physical abuse, emotional abuse, all these abuses. It is no. And I just hope that somebody will watch this our show and be delivered today. In the past, one of the things that the women of the past that have been talking about this, one of the reasons why their voice were not really strong was that like you said, people condone it, people minimize it, and people went saying what was happening. Nobody was talking. Few women
It
were
was being justified. You justify,
exactly
you minimize.
minimize it. You don't say,
Mhm.
you hide it. How can a man abuse their daughter and then you minimize it? So you
And you
don't
call for
know,
a family meeting.
don't you know if he could abuse his own daughter, he's going to abuse the neighbor's daughter, he's going to abuse your. It's a perpetrator and it's dangerous. Don't you know? So why would you cover that man because of what we're going to eat? Because of our poverty mentality. This is why I'm just thinking, Liz, you work in the capacity. I know in Australia it's very hard sometimes to say the truth the way it is. You got to be politically correct. But I just pray that you're going to have some words that you're going to be throwing in, even in your work, you know, the framework they're giving to you to be able to work to deliver some people. In Australia is a welfare country. So you can never be hungry. The government will get you. They will look after you because whatever you condone right now is possibly going to kill you, kill your child, kill
That's
generations
right.
in the future.
That's
And it's so sad to see that this is happening and people are hiding it. I don't get it.
mhm.
And you were
Yeah.
saying that they choose to behave like this. There's consequence for every behavior, every action. There's a counter reaction that you're going to get.
Mm.
About this violence thing. Please, I really want us to punch it to know that women too are accepting it. In our time, like I said, at a time, because the women of the past they kept quiet, these things now became permissible in the society that people are not talking, just accepting it. It's not acceptable. If you feel pain, if you want to study and somebody is telling you can't study and locking you up in the room, you need to speak out. It is not acceptable. It just gets, because listen, we accept this, but we don't want it for our children. Why do you accept it and you don't want it for your children? But wait, your children are going to get it. If you accept it, your children are going to
In, in
attract men. No, they're going to attract the men like their father, and then they're going to continue the tradition that you started. Don't worry.
That's exactly what it is. And you've mentioned poverty and economic challenges. Of course, that's equally one of the drivers that results into a violent behavior
Mm,
um, that some people simply just can't afford to probably move out and sustain themselves, maybe financially. And
mm,
because of that, they remain in a violent situation. But as you rightly said, that shouldn't be a reason for you to, suffer in silence.
mm,
If there is violence in the relationship, um, go out and get help. Look for help so that you can at least get out of the situation and yet still be taken care of,
mhm,
still have access to the support services that are available for you to be able to move on with your life.
mm. One of
The Yeah.
culture list, I was going to say, sometimes we have a culture that we say women sit at the back of the car while their 2-year-old son or 3 years sit at the front. Do you know that?
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm,
women are not allowed to sit at the front of the car. What's that? This is your
mm-hmm.
husband, and this is Australia. So if that culture is permissible in your country, I don't think it's on any religious ground, which I'm not sure. And I don't think so. So you put your wife at the back and say, no, you are not allowed to. It's as if they dirty, or then of course not equal. They can't sit with their husband. And why do you sleep with them? If you can't sit with them in the car, why do you sleep with them? Or are you trying to cover them so that nobody see their faces in your car? And if a woman accepts it, if it's your religion or your culture, fine. But what we're saying about violence is, if you don't like it, if you think this is now barbaric and it's uncalled for, then you need to do
Mm-hmm.
something about it.
That's right.
Do something about it.
That's right. Absolutely. So, and then the limitations on women independence,
Yeah,
that's also um, really another driver because men want to be the decision makers, and
mm,
because of that, they place barriers on women advancement into leadership. They place barriers, like you rightly said, make down women's ideas in terms of their own progress.
yeah.
That what you are putting forward is rubbish. So your proposal is not being accepted. Your project doesn't go anywhere because they are scared that once a woman gets into the position or gets the climbs the ladder or gets into the boardroom, that's the end of it. So men are putting limits and barriers on women advancement so that they are dominant in terms of decision making. That is a major driver. That driver causes that the few women who are advancing cope the abuse on behalf of all the other women.
I like
And
what
many women can attest to that, who are in decision making roles, who are in leadership roles, who are advancing in business. They can talk about this.
I like what you said, and that's one of the things I want to say here and now. As women, you need to be careful when a man cajole you and they try to manipulate women against women. You got to be very careful. So before I got this myself, before I got this awareness, I used to not like when women are aggressive. Like you're aggressive, you have 2-year-old, but you want to go to Addis Ababa, you're taking your suitcase, you want to go to America, but you got the family. I used to be uncomfortable with that. Like, why? Why? Just calm down, look after your family and all that. But now I might say that to you if you are the woman, but I'm not gonna go to a man and discuss that because men want us to be boxed anyway. They want us to, they're looking for anything to do to frustrate a woman from climbing that ladder. So as a woman, you need to support each other in the workforce. When you see a man is talking to you about your upcoming,
Exactly.
you
That's
need
the
to be
action we are
very
talking about.
careful. You need to be very aware. So no man is going to come to me and put any woman down and say they're aggressive and name them. They're neurotic. They give them all sorts of things. They're pathetic. They're aggressive. No, it doesn't matter. We're all now going to be very comfortable, and sell plantain. Some people want a political career, but don't press on each other as a woman. Let's support. Let's identify which woman fit this position and let us support each other. Because
Hmm.
men, they have the boys' code, they get each other. We need to be mindful of few of these, uh, nuances that they
That's right.
use to put women down. So let women support women. Let us act wherever the
Mhm.
opportunity presents itself. Don't put any woman down in the midst of any man whatsoever. I say don't put women down. Talk to the women if you have opportunity. Otherwise, observe. One of the things they were talking about that I heard recently last week was this: one woman had first husband divorced, second husband divorced, third husband, and people were talking about her. Now, the question they were saying is, was there any time they can't women for men? That this is the first wife, second wife, third wife. We don't look at that. Divorcees are just the women. Why are we counting divorces about the women and not counting the divorces? It's okay for a man to divorce because my wife is beating me, my wife is, which is all, we don't, boo, boo, boo. Now, if it's the woman, we condemn. So we need to be very careful what we say about each other.
That's right.
You're not there with this woman, you don't know what abuse she's running away from. And when they die, then we say, oh, she stayed there until she's killed. She should have cried out. She should have run away. Now they ran away. You're talking down at them and said they
Mhm.
divorced. As women, I just want to, for me, I think every day I'm learning. I relearn, I unlearn, and I think that's the way
Mhm.
it liberates you. It liberates you.
Mhm.
because of time, I will just give you the last word, Liz, to just come towards how can we be mindful of this issue so that the women don't end up getting to your office and then you start all this, mending and fixing their brains and all things together because of the abuses. How can we
Mm,
help ourselves as women?
yeah. Look, Temi, this one important thing that we always touch on our show that I really love, and we keep talking about boundaries. Boundaries are very important.
Yeah.
Self-respect and my own boundaries.
Mm.
This
Mm.
is who and what I am. This is how I respect myself. This is how I treat myself. This is what I value, and this is how I want it.
Right.
If you need to have those healthy boundaries around yourselves, with yourselves, and respect for that.
Hmm.
If that is in place,
Right.
it is easy to spot when those boundaries are being crossed, when abuse and violence comes in. It's easy to see that. And you will feel it that, this person, even just in a way that you look at me, Temi, I will be able to tell there's aggression in this look. There
Wow.
is,
That's
you
good.
know,
That's
yes, you can tell.
that's true. That's true.
There's an air around things that are not good if you are aware.
Hmm.
And if we have that kind of relationship, I should be able to talk to you about that.
Right.
And if I'm fearful, I need to know that there's some sort of a controlling behavior somewhere. Why
Hmm.
am I not free to talk to you about a particular issue?
Hmm.
Are you controlling me in a different way that I
Emotionally.
cannot come out? You know what I mean? So that's where the awareness comes in. It's really, it boils down to uh, um, personal and self-awareness. Number one.
Hmm.
And then number two, it goes over to an organizational awareness where, as an organization, you look at your policies, you look at the whatever legislation, the strategies and things that are there, that
Hannah,
that that yes, and the systems that are in place that makes things easier both for men and women in the organization, so that it's not only men who are able to work from home, for instance, or men who are able to have the laptop and two phones, and you should be working with a phone that has the basic smart activities, and the men get all the iPhones. No, what's that? You know what I mean? So as an organization, you also need to look at, how does equality really play out according to your policy? Do you, stereotyping, whatever, in terms of leadership, what policy do you have that deliberately advances women into leadership positions? Really making sure that kind of carry some women into leadership positions and disregard things like, because women are getting pregnant and they take off for how many months, and stuff like that, because they take too long to learn and they don't necessarily have the leadership capabilities. What do you have in place to groom women and disregard the stereotypical, you know, beliefs that we have about what women can and cannot do, which makes them less leaders or leadership material in the organization, and bring the systems into the organization. And then we move on to the societal level, where we now talk about the societal stereotypes and these cultural norms that still, have certain roles and responsibilities are for men, and the others are for women, and masculinity and femininity. And we should, in our societies, we should rid ourselves of these things, really. Let's do and be what we are capable of, not because I'm a woman, you know
Yeah.
not because you are a man. Let's do and be what we are capable of. Yes, I can still wear my dress. Allow me to wear my high heels at the harbor and walk into the ship. Yes. Why
Yeah.
why why don't we have high heels, steel cap boots?
Mhm.
Make them for us. We want them.
That's true. That's very true. I like what you're saying. I really do. And
Yeah,
organizational one, let me say, in our company, we had a staff that had a baby, went for 1 year leave. Before she came back, had another pregnancy, had another baby, went for another 2 years, and then she rang us and she said, and she's good at her job. We got her back. There's a woman lady that is due for a senior management level, and she wasn't going to do it. She said, I'm not, I can't manage, I can't go. But we know she could. This happened also to one my brother, who is the regional bank manager. She is probably going to watch the show and know. Happened to a staff as well that is supposed to be like one of the big shots, and they went to her and said, the position is open, you're the first person we're looking at, and they had all the men. This was in the bank. And the woman said, no, I can't. For many, many months, the manager, the director, my brother is like, why? Over time, can I have a talk to you? He's got time. He's a good man. And because this woman has the capability, she's a lawyer. Anyway, at the end of the day, this woman just broke into tears and said, my husband is victimizing me at home. If I take this position, he's going to kill me. Da, 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 da. And they helped her, support her, everything, put some things in place. She got the position and she's fine. I think they're working with her on the organizational level, how she can be stable. And this is what
yeah,
we do also in our company. You can bring your
exactly.
child to work here. There's a room for you to have your child to work. You can pick your child from school. It's fine. The men can do it. Why can't women do it? Everybody
Yeah,
does. Everyone does it here. But like you
mhm.
said, organizationally, we've got to be mindful.
That's right.
Around our sphere in the community, you got to be very, very mindful. Don't put other women down. If they're crying for something, they need help, support them. Don't say you divorce, you want to divorce, all these things. If they tell you, believe them, support them in whichever way. Don't say they are neurotic, they are aggressive. If they want a position, it's okay, whatever it is in your area. And these women that are condoning these abuses and say it's your culture, it's not Australian culture, and you live here now. If you're in Rome, you behave like Roman. I'm not saying to start fighting your husband, but if you feel this is not what you want to do, or now you came to freedom because there's freedom here to live, then take advantage of it. Again, your children are also, like Liz, you said, it's going to generational. They run out of home and they run into bad hand, or they run into the law on the other side of the law, and then the whole cycle becomes just going. So it's not just about women alone, about the girls. And the girls, they make the nation, they make the population, don't they? So it's a thing that we need to start being mindful of, and to end this violence,
Yeah.
really. I'm big on
And,
this.
and, and you know what, Jamie, I just wanted to add at the end that ask for help. Really, women need to talk.
Mhm,
Find somebody that you can, confide in
mhm.
and talk about what's happening for you. If you are being threatened in your home, if you do this, I'm gonna kill myself. If you do this, I'm gonna kill you. I'll take the children away. I'll take your passport away. You won't be able to go somewhere. If all those things, really. Let's talk to each other. Let's support each other because, as you rightly said, this country has got support.
Right.
We've got countries where, unfortunately there is no support for women, but Australia is, there's support left, right, and center for women, and it's just waiting for you to come to the fore and say, I'm suffering in this area. I'm struggling here. My partner is doing ABCD to me, and it affects me. So let's really talk about. Let's be open. Let's find the support that we need because otherwise, you will die in silence.
You
And
giants.
in saying that, one woman is murdered every day in
I,
Australia.
I know.
Every day, the police are dealing with 670 cases that are related to domestic violence and sexual assault. Every day.
Unbelievable.
That's a lot.
Yeah, unbelievable. We had a couple of the police presented to us. They with blue ribbons. They call blue ribbons. They presented to my Rotary Club, and they confirmed exactly what you said. They flat out busy chasing all these things around. So you are not wrong. Uh, this is not on. Let us deal with it and end it. End it. Can I say last thing also is some men are not aware of what they're doing. Some men maybe midlife crisis, they're sick mentally. So you need to know what the issues are as well with these people. They could be sick, it could be midlife, it could be, toxic in their system. So they might need medical help and intervention as well. So don't just say they're crazy. This is how they are. They're crazy, maybe they need help in any way. I just thought I'd throw that in. But that's what we can do tonight. We were supposed to be half an hour. We're 46 minutes into the show because this is a very serious topic that we love. We love, and I know Liz, you're doing a good job, and I kept on saying that. Thank you so much for rescuing those women off the street, um, off the gutter. I'm giving them home and giving them hope, and giving them support them with the system that are available to them. Thank you so much. We're gonna end it here. We have one more show before the end of the year, and we're gonna have a break, right? Next year, look out. We see you then. Ciao for now. Bye bye.